Hey, this is Justin. It is Saturday morning, and this is a walk and talk, a way to get ideas that are rattling around inside the head, outside the head, into a way that can potentially be useful, and also an opportunity to have conversations with interested and interesting people. So, walk and talks for me, was inspired by the book Accidental Genius, which was using free writing as the access to your greatest thoughts. After when I learned about the book in 2009, I started doing free writing, and this was before I had kids, like for 8 hours at a time. And the challenge that went along with that was you couldn't like necessarily use it. It was a fun experience that was going on, but you couldn't use any of the stuff later. So my accounting brain went to like, right, how do I start to make this more useful? And then how do I actually start to make this more social and share some of the ideas that are created out with other people? And that's what led to Free Talking, which was brainstorms on SoundCloud, which led to doing posts about people and was inspiring me about some of the people did. What some of the people were doing. Another major change for me was when Otter came out, or when I discovered Otter in 2019, because then we could have these types of conversations, but then they could start getting transcriptions. Then they became useful to our future self. That's when I started engaging in the conversations. Like, well, how much of our work can actually be done asynchronously via audio? Because if you think about it, when we're like typing something or coding something or whatever we're actually doing, it's just words that are getting like translated. So this might be a unstructured set of words, right? There's some ideas that are coming out of this, but in general, it's an unstructured set of words that can actually be formed and turned into something else a little bit later on. So we do these live streams to start to just get some of the ideas out there that we're working on and creating. And I really create this for the video on the back end and the transcript on the back end. And people are welcome to interact with it if they like, but even if they don't interact with it, it's at least an exercise in getting ideas out of the head that would otherwise start to be rattling around. So now the name of the game is, how do we make this as consumable, as interactive for other people, so it starts to become useful for other people and meaningful for other people. So there's a couple of different ways that can happen. Number one is practicing walking and talking. Number one, just walks. Walks are the easiest thing that I know of to start to be able to experience and to create health. The challenge is we're going on walks where it's time away from doing stuff that we're actually doing. So how do we start to turn those walks into productive time? Because when we start turning our walks into productive time, then we can start to go on longer and longer and longer and longer walks. And then everything sort of just becomes a walk. And that's how we get to the idea of the walk and talk. So in an ideal world, how I see this structured, thanks a lot for everybody who's joining live. If you'd like to join the session live, please feel free to drop a comment down below, and we'll bring you on and have a conversation. If you'd like to listen in, you're also more than welcome to do that. And if you'd like to listen in, it's more than welcome to do that, or you're more than welcome to join in and join in for the conversation. So the ideal that there's a couple of different pieces of this that are very interesting to me. One, just to demonstrate what walking and talking can do, just to have it available for other people to start to practice and to start to experience. And it might be something like a walking meeting, or it might be something like hey, let me do a brainstorm to get some of the ideas out there. Or it might be a replacement of, hey, here's the email that I have to write. Well, I can just walk and talk and start to dictate it. And there's amazing tools out there like Cleft Notes right now, which allows you to actually turn it in something that can actually potentially be useful. Can also turn into a conversation with another person, like, hey, this was an idea that you talked about during a walk and talk, and this is something that I'm actually interested in talking about. So, what's a good way for us to connect? Some people that is a meetup physically, some people that's a virtual meetup, getting together on Zoom, or for people like me, it's send me a yak or send me a voice note back and forth, and we can chop up some of the ideas that can potentially make a difference, and then move into the space of where, like, hey, passion wins, right? When we got an idea that matters to us now or matters to us later, then we can start to express it out. Then there's ideas that we want to work on. There's topics that we start to talk about here. They'll be like, oh, that's too good not to share. Or what? Oh, I think something's there and want to share it. So here's like snippets of ideas that can start to get shared out with other people. So you start to see these lives in the next couple of days and weeks start getting chopped up into small, short clips that people can start to interact with. High volume, but what's so great about social media and so great about the internet is it'll filter out the stuff that doesn't make a difference. As I'm recording this right now, one person was here, they just left, right? So, this will get seen between, from somewhere between 100 and 1,000 people will see some part of this. And potentially one person's going to listen to this whole thing through, and it's going to spark an idea that is potentially life-changing for them and life-changing for the world. And even if that doesn't happen, this for me is an exercise in my greatest passion and the thing that I love to do most outside of taking care of my health and spending time with my family. So even if nobody listened, it's still a big success, because what would I be doing otherwise right now? I'd be walking the puppy with with my thoughts in my head, which could be a good thing. Or I'd be listening to a podcast. I want to distract myself, or I'd be listening to a book if I wanted to learn something. So this is an opportunity to create something live, like in the moment. And then now we'll start breaking it down to other clips. And, my vision, my hope, my intention. I was having a conversation with my friend Matt from Dev Guild. It started to actually turn these conversations like, oh, that's like starting to send out a signal of like, oh, that's something interesting, and starting to moving to the place of solving real problems through the walk and talks. And what that looks like is solidifying really what is the problem, breaking it down in a couple of steps, and then starting to put some action items together to start to make them work. And then how do we start to signal from there, hey, who are the people who are actually interested in working on this stuff, and is this something that they're already working on, like as part of a full-time project or a side hustle, or is it something they want to work on in gap time when they have like 5 minutes? So we really want to make it as available and as as many opportunities for people to be able to plug in as possible, and to make it as accessible as possible. So I think I'm gonna, I can go. My intention right now is to probably do this live for a good 2 hours. I don't know that I'm going to actually get to 2 hours, which will be a long walk with the puppy, and going through some different ideas. Some people might join into the live. Some people might just stay away from the live, but but there will be inside of this. Then we'll start letting the AI get involved to start to get the AI involved, to start to interact and start to break some of the pieces apart and start to pull some of the new ideas in that can that can potentially be useful and meaningful. So I'm going to start one other thing. If you are joining, thank you so much for coming in. You're more than welcome to join live. We're talking about walk and talks this morning, and really kind of what's available to other people. If you are listening to this, love for you to take a walk today. Go out for a long walk. That can be something. You can be with your thoughts. But hey, if you were inclined to listen to a podcast or a book, turn on some sort of streaming audio app and start to share your thoughts and start to share ideas and start to share stuff that's out with you. So in that spirit, along with this live right now, I'm going to do a couple of different things. Number one, I'm going to turn on the Cliff Notes app in the background, which is going to give me 10 minutes of recording time that goes along with this. And then we're going to create a note and then start to digest some of the things. I don't think I can do screen share on here, which is a shame. Maybe I can. I think that's actually layout. I don't think, maybe we can't actually do a screen share here. Can I do a screen share? News layout. Oh, that's interesting, actually. But yeah, we're not doing the, I'll start to read through some of the different items. So what I'm going to do is experiment with Cliff Notes this morning, and I'm going to record a cleft note for CLEFT. Record a cleft note for 10 minutes, and then we'll dissect it on the back end. We'll try some different tools to actually process some of the stuff that we're talking about on these walk and talks and see which ones of the ideas can potentially have legs on the back end. So let's get that going right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes to make sure that we come back to it when it's actually done, and we'll talk for about 10 minutes through some of these different things and let that process on the back end. Okay, so now what we're creating here is there we go. All right, the cleft note has started here. Going to set a timer for, so it will be a remind me when the cleft note's done. That will start to process, and we'll start to it will start to let me just do it. Let's do cleft notes. Cleft notes. All right. We'll add a banner. Boom, we got it. All right, let's go. So, yep, that's what'll happen on the back end is we'll get a cleft note that we start to interact with. And in place of having an interview with another person, this is an opportunity to start to interact with some of the content that's actually getting created on the back. This is a walk and talk inspired by Mark Levy's book, Accidental Genius, using free writing as access to your greatest thoughts. This is a free talking session. It's also replacing some of the other activities that we're doing. I'm able to record now because my family is on vacation, so I'm able to record kind of freely, one, having time to do all the recording, and then number two, not having to worry about waking somebody up who's in the house right now, but we're starting to work with. So what we're doing right now is just 10 minutes of live audio, like brain dumping. That's going to create a cleft note on the back end, which is going to be a summary of this conversation, and then we'll take some of the topics that come out of that cleft note, and we'll take some of the topics that come out of that note and potentially work through them. And I think actually what I can do is, yep, if I take a picture of it, I can do it as an overlay. That's the way that we'll do it. We'll do it as an overlay where we get some of the audio. I can actually add a background. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to make it work so that you can interact with the and create. All right, we lost. Yeah, that's a challenge with running some of these other apps in the background. Is that we lose the mic starts competing for attention, and I think the solution to that is just getting another device. That's how we'll do it. We'll run with another device live at the same time that can start to we'll do the one is the recording device, and then number two is the one where we start to read some of the notes on the back end. So I had a note to myself to be able to get two devices going at the same time, one for the creation and one for the output, and then two for all the processing and the other work that we're starting to do. So it might be something we work on this weekend, or it might be something that we do later on. So that's it, right? So working right now, creating cleft notes, 10-minute audio message that will be like a piece of, and then we'll just start seeing where's some of the signal in some of the stuff that we're actually, where's the signal in some of the stuff that we're actually creating, and what are some of the things that we want to start to develop in something else, and then we'll start to bring in some other tools to start to turn these into project plans and process plan, project plans and things like that. And maybe I'll do a couple of lives over the weekend where we actually do some of the live processing for these conversations, so we can see the seeds of ideas that come out of the walk and talk actually turning into something new and turning into something real. And I do this for the purposes of inspiring ways of working that works for human beings. This is what works for me. The audio in the background, I'm not doing video, which allows me to be flexible in where I am and what I'm doing, not having to worry about uh, you know the any sort of identification of the place, also not having to worry about hey, recording other people without their permission. So that's the other, when we do videos, you get people in the background who are not necessarily willing participants. So that's why the audio format makes it a little bit more palatable to go work through. So I'm going to start feeding the puppy right now and start getting moving on and start getting moving. We'll start to move outside in a few minutes, and then also we'll start to do some of the morning check-ins with my coaches and with some of the family members. Some of those things will be private conversations where I'll pull out of the live chat for a couple of minutes. Some of those things will be things that we can record live in the moment. And then we're also, we've got Clef Notes running in the background here, which allows us to get an intelligent summary of what was talked about for the last 10 minutes and see where we can take some of the seeds of some of those ideas and then turn it into to something else on the background. So, a little bit of a lot of a layered approach to taking an idea and then turning it into something real on the back end. And then if anybody joins live, we'll interview you, right? Or we'll talk about whatever the topic is that you want to talk about. So think about it as the water cooler chat, as we're actually the water cooler chat is broadcast out to the world, and that's it. That's the name of the game. And now that I'm starting to think about, that's the name of the game. We'll see how we can actually start doing some screen sharing, either with the either live on the phone, or maybe we'll do some of the sessions in front of a computer later on during the day, and seeing which one of the ideas actually turns into something else. So when I do some of the free talking, when I do free talking like this, I typically go unconscious at about 20 minutes in, and that's where the ideas just start to flow through a little bit more freely. It's a little bit more challenging to do that today because I'm doing a little bit of multi-processing, running some errands, not really running some errands, but getting ready to get the puppy ready to go for his morning walk, and then also doing some of the feeding, and then we'll move out and doing some of the work. So not 100% present in the conversation in the moment. I'm also going to walk away from the phone here for a second and see just to experiment a little bit about how that works for picking up the audios of the conversation. Okay, so walk away through some of these, and then we'll go in 2 minutes and 34 seconds. Our Clef Notes will start to process, and we'll talk through kind of the summary of some of the stuff that we talked about in the past. And then the experiment is really to see how we can take some of the ideas that are going through this as a single person brainstorm, how we can take some of those ideas and then turn it into something potentially useful on the back end. If you are joining live, if you are here, please feel free to drop in a comment. If you want to come on live and have a conversation, you're more than welcome to do that. We'll talk about whatever topics are top of mind with you. This is a live, think about this as the water cooler chat. Think about it as the opportunity to start to drop in. Or if there's something that you're interested in that you want to promote, love to talk about it. We talked about earlier this week, talked about some data science and some of the challenges around doing data science in a large corporate organization. Also talked about starting up a consulting business and starting up a consulting business, number one, and then number two, empowering people to find their what's next opportunity. So those are a couple of different conversations, but open for everything. I expect my friend Phil Gornai is going to come on a little bit, who is at some point in time, as soon as he finds out about these chats, who has recently had a heart transplant and all the work that goes along with that. So just want to have an opportunity to feature people that has messages to that they want to get shared out. And the way they do that is just continue to talk until somebody comes in and takes over the stage and goes through some of the other pieces of work. So this is, again, an exercise in free talking, which is inspired by free writing, which is, Mark Levy's book, Accidental Genius, using free writing as access to your greatest thoughts. And then how do we start turning these free flowing, unconnected ideas into usable pieces of information on the back end? That's the whole, that's the beginning, the end, and the whole name of the game. So let me just get a hat so head, bald head doesn't get cold. Where are they hats here? There we go. You got it. Putting on my San Diego Padres hat from my friend Al, and all right, got that. All right, so our Cliff Notes should be done at this point. So here we go. All right, we'll finish off that piece. All right. Audio capture. Let me just try it again. Let's try this next one here. Oh, okay. What ideas do you want to share? Okay, so we lost that note, which is fine. We've got it captured here on. Let's just go through. Actually, let me try Otter as another option. We'll see the live transcription as it's starting to work, and we'll start to process from the Otter notes, and that will go on completely. The challenge with the Otter is you have to. Let me just actually see what happened with this note. Turning your thoughts into notes. Let's see what happened with this last note in the. There is a conflict between. Since we have to get a second device, the Clef Notes didn't. There's a conflict between my streaming and the audio, so it's not actually picking up the audio in the live stream. So that's where we need a second device, which was what I was advised by the Clef Notes team yesterday. So let's move on to Otter. Let's just try this one out. We'll run Otter.ai in the background here. See if that will pick up the at banner. We got that one. Boom, got it. All right. So we're going to start. Now we got the live that's happening here. Boom, 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 boom. And then we'll start running Otter.ai in the background. Now with Otter, what we're going to have to do is, which is perfect, we don't have to have, no, that's not doing anything. Now we're definitely going to need another device because the mic is, let me try one more time. All right, so it did run in the background. All right, so we got both pieces going right now. What we'll do is the question I like to ask Otter.ai on the back end is what questions are inspired by what we talked about during this post. So what I'll do is actually, which is perfect, we'll talk for a while and then I'll ask Otter.ai what questions are inspired by this post. I'll drop those questions into the banner here. Then we'll start to answer those questions, and we'll have a series of questions that, we'll have a series of questions, and we'll kind of treat this as an AI-driven. We'll call this like an AI-driven Ask Me Anything, which is a single sort of event. And when we talk about, and this is where the brain gets a little bit crazy, but where it's like, how do you start to create a solo mastermind, right? A mastermind by yourself. So what doesn't work is the brain cycling, right? Is the ideas that are rattling around not getting out there into the world. So how we start to solve that problem is we verbalize them. We verbalize them to other people, and then when we verbalize them to ourselves, right? Then how do we start to turn those into something that is productive? We'll record it. right? It is like, I don't know it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't know who wants to have this conversation. If you are on LinkedIn on a Saturday morning, you can see it. You're more than welcome to join into this conversation. If you, but who's actually, who, that's what, well, that's how we start having it turn into that's how we start turning it into a productive conversation. Where it is now, it's out there and it's broadcast and it's captured, and it's captured, and you start to get a transcript of the stuff. This one's not working either. Annoying. Yeah, annoying. Okay, we're gonna have to work on getting another device today. That's gonna be the answer. We'll have to get another. We'll have to get another device and then use that to do some of the recording on the back end. Boom. Thinking about how do we get the mic out there, and how do we get captures of what other people are starting to talk about on the session. It's going to have to be something that is going to be a little bit, it's going to have to be, I wonder if we can actually connect the AeroPex to two devices at one time. So that's going to be the tech that we'll have to work through later on today, and probably just need a phone that is, we just need a phone that's tethered to the connection. We don't even need cellular service now that I think about it, right? Just need a phone that is, just need a phone that is, that where we can start running some of the tools on the back end, and then using the we don't even need the cellular service, just need the device to start to work with. So the challenge that I'm having here is I can't do the recording as I'm doing the live here. And so where do we talk about? We'll talk about working out loud here. Working out loud is actually working through processes, showing your work in progress, doing that stuff that's embarrassingly not ready for showtime. And that's exactly what this piece is. I'm actually literally working out these first couple of sessions, especially on the Saturdays when I've got more free time to be able to record and to be able to do some of the experimentation. On Saturdays is really working out like how we start to formulate the ideas. So I'm literally working out like how these walk and talks will start to move as we're on the walk and talk live. So not ideal for people listening on the back end. It might not be the most interesting listening experience on the back end, but for those people who kind of think in the crazy ways, and how do we start getting the overhead out of the work that we're doing, right? And how do we start to remove the stuff that doesn't necessarily matter, right? So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to listen to the last 27 minutes of the stuff that we're actually recording here. So I can't imagine that many other people would actually want to listen to the last 27 minutes. But there is, inside of that, there is possibilities of some gold, or possibilities of ideas that also you can start to connect together that can make a difference. So then how do you start to mine for that data? How do you start to mine for the stuff that is actually that is valuable, and then move the other stuff? And then how do you get into hands of people that make it work, right? So you want to here's a long form brain dump, brainstorms, which this is. We're just going to continue to talk and get some of the stuff out there, and then see where something potentially has legs. And then after that, we'll get a full transcript of the stuff that we actually talked about, and then figure out how to get it summarized into something that is potentially meaningful, and then how to start putting it into breaking it down into executable and well-defined processes to live out there in the world. And that's the whole that's the beginning, the end. Morning. it's the beginning, the end of what we're trying to create here and trying to build. So now I'm going to make a choice to go into be right back mode. Go on to, if I mute the mic, actually, I'm curious, and start to do some of the recordings with, or maybe I'll actually come back on live in a little bit. Start doing some recordings with some of my coaches right now, and share out some of the share out some of the pieces with or share out some of the updates with some of the coaches. And this is where we start moving into some of the morning routine work. So I think I'm going to go off of live right now, start to do some of those check-ins, and then potentially come back to live a little bit later on, or doing live where we're starting to process the oh, this is actually cool. Starting to process the output, I guess, of this session, and then making it usable to our future selves. So thanks a lot for listening to that, and have an amazing day.